Hi, I'm August with Clive Coffee. We all know that dialing in espresso can be a very frustrating, messy experience, one that leads to a lot of wasted coffee. Turns out, it does not have to be that way. In this video, we're gonna go through making grind adjustments, the fundamentals and techniques of pulling a perfect shot of espresso, and common problems that you might face along the way. First things first, we're gonna want to start with a fully preheated machine and to make sure that we have all the necessary accessories like a great tamper, a good espresso scale, nice set of dry rags, and the other fun accessories that you might have. But most importantly, we want freshly roasted, delicious coffee in the grinder. When we talk about using good, fresh coffee, we're looking for something that is around 1 to 2 weeks past the roast date. Hopefully it'll say that on the bag. You can use any coffee that you personally find delicious, but a good starting place is gonna be something that's sort of a medium to dark roast. It's gonna taste great on its own, be a little more forgiving to get dialed in, and also taste great in a milk-based drink. Now that we have everything we need to get started, we can begin crafting our perfect espresso recipe. A recipe is important and useful because it allows us to make sure we're doing the same thing every single time. And when something doesn't taste quite right, we're able to change one variable at a time until it starts tasting the way we want it to. An espresso recipe consists of 3 main things, which is our dose, how much ground coffee we're putting into the machine, our yield, which is how much liquid espresso is coming out of the machine, and time. How long does it take to get that perfect shot of espresso? In this video, we're focusing mostly on making grind adjustments to affect that total brew time. We have a lot of other content on crafting a perfect espresso recipe that addresses some of those other variables. When we begin dialing in a shot of espresso, especially one that we've never actually tasted before, it's really helpful to have a starting recipe to begin. Our recipe today will be 20 grams of coffee in the machine, getting 40 grams of espresso out in about 30 seconds. Espresso recipes are often communicated in terms of a ratio. For example, today we're using a 1 to 2 brew ratio, which is 1 part coffee into the machine and 2 parts liquid espresso coming out. Again, 20 grams in, 40 grams out. Those brew ratios for most coffees are gonna range from a 1 to 1 all the way up to a 1 to 3 ratio. 1 to 1s are gonna be very strong and intense, whereas a 1 to 3 tends to be a little more weak and mild tasting. That's why we love starting with a 1 to 2 ratio that puts us right in the middle. The final piece of our espresso recipe is brew time. We can adjust our brew time by changing our grind setting on the grinder, coarser or finer. This will affect how much flavor is extracted from the coffee. For example, if our shot is tasting too bitter or too sour, we're gonna fix that by adjusting our grind setting. We're starting with a 30-second shot time today, but a typical espresso recipe can range anywhere from around 25 to 35 seconds. Adjusting your grind setting coarser will allow the water to flow more quickly through the coffee, leading to a faster shot time. Adjusting your grind finer will slow the flow of water down, leading to a longer shot time. You can picture pouring water through a jar of sand compared to pouring water through a jar of marbles. It's gonna take much longer for that water to flow through the sand compared to those marbles, and we can picture grind setting as the exact same thing. As we begin getting dialed in and adjusting our grind setting, it's extremely important to make sure that no other variables are changing. That's why we are always going to be using a scale to weigh things out to the gram and doing things like making sure our portafilter basket is extremely clean and dry before grinding into it. Now we're gonna walk through pulling your first shot of espresso. Set the portafilter on a scale and 0 or tear it out. Then we can start grinding coffee into the portafilter. Today we're using 20 grams of espresso, but depending on your machine and your specific baskets, you might fit a little bit more or a little bit less, and that's totally normal, and actually why we use brew ratios to communicate our recipe. Again, we're using that 1 to 2 brew ratio, so I'm using 20 grams of coffee in the machine and aiming to get 40 grams of espresso out. But for example, you might be using 18 grams of coffee and getting 36 grams of espresso out to get to that same 1 to 2 brew ratio. Once we have that perfect dose of espresso in the basket, we move to a step called distribution, which is all about making sure the coffee is as evenly spread around the basket as possible so that when the water flows through it, our shot brews perfectly. There's many different distribution methods, but when you're first getting started, I recommend keeping it simple and just using your palm to tap around the edges of the portafilter to make sure that the coffee is looking as flat and level as you can get it. Once everything is nicely distributed, we can move to tamping. The most critical step of tamping is making sure that you keep it as consistent as possible. Just a nice, good, firm press will do, and that's all you need to worry about. We can then place the portafilter into the group head of the machine and tear out a shot glass on a scale underneath. This is going to allow us to track that yield of espresso coming out of the espresso machine perfectly. Start your shot and start a timer at the same time. We're always gonna stop our shot when we get to that 40 gram mark and then check to see how long it took to get there. As we can see, that shot ran too quickly, far outside that 30-second range that we're looking for. The first thing we'll do is make a small grind adjustment finer. We're using a stepless grinder today, which means that we can move the grind adjustment dial very, very small increments to influence our grind setting. I recommend only moving it about a centimeter at a time either direction, knowing that you might have to actually make a few grind adjustments in a row to get the change that you're looking for. If you're using a stepped grinder, probably only moving it one step at a time is gonna be best practice. After we make our grind adjustment, there's probably still a little bit of coffee inside the grinder left over from the previous grind setting. We're gonna wanna purge that out of the grinder to make sure that when we pull our next shot, it's just that nice, new, fresh grind setting. Purging around 10 to 15 grams is gonna be best practice. Once we know we have that fresh, new grind setting ready to go, we can repeat the process and see how long it takes. It's common to overshoot the grind setting. In this instance, we've gone a little too fine now and our shot is taking a little longer than what we actually want. All we'll need to do is bump the grind back a little bit coarser and we should be right around that 30-second mark that we're going for. Perfect, that last shot hit exactly what we were going for. We have 20 grams of espresso going into the machine. We're stopping it at 40 grams out to get that 1:2 ratio, and it took 30 seconds. Realistically, it might take you a lot longer to find that perfect grind setting. When you're using a brand new grinder, especially if you're not used to making stepless grind adjustments, it can take a lot of time to get comfortable knowing exactly how much you're supposed to move that dial at a time. Take it slow, don't be afraid to waste a little bit of coffee right up front, and you'll get the hang of it in no time. In another video, we'll go into crafting a perfect espresso recipe by taste so you can get the most out of any bag of coffee. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you can get more tips, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.